We are going to start the meeting. Are you ready, Ms. Melton?
Yes, I am, Mrs. Brown.
All right, the meeting is called to order at 9:30 a.m. Can I have a roll call?
Chair Cheryl Brown,
Present.
Vice Chair Jimmy Paver,
Present.
Commissioner Wilmer Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Jan Wenig.
We have a quorum.
Is there anyone that signed in who desires to speak in the items that related to the HATC meeting?
We don't have anyone signed up, no ma'am.
Moving on to item number 3, consent of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 6th, February 17th, and March 7th?
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passed. I do want to make a request. Can we see that the meeting minutes is released? I know we tried to fix it at the beginning of the year, but that's.
Really noted. Thank you. We will.
Moving on to item number 4, action item A, and this is resolution number HATC 2023-05, this is doing the personnel policy.
Yes, so we'll have Mr. Plegler to introduce the item. I will just say that the policy has seen several iterations over the years. So there's some inconsistencies related to formatting and some other things that obviously needed to happen just by nature, but he will just hit some highlights for you if there's so in time.
You're gonna be able to correct that and put it all in one format.
Oh, yeah, so that's what this does. Yes.
So, yes, that's a big part of what was updated with the policy manual, the last. Sorry?
Come on forward. I'm used to you sitting close.
Well, I was getting my picture made and I got here late, so I got stuck in the back. Yes, so the last published version, official version of the policy manual was in 2020. Naturally needed updating, and this is what we've been working on for quite a while now. I have placed the new version on Boardable if you care to see it. A lot is different in it in that there, as Mr. Howard alluded to, there's a lot of reorganization for the sake of logical flow through the document. We've included policies that had been developed over time since the last formal version. We've included the organization's mission, vision, values, and incorporated those from the current strategic plan. We've gone through and updated, edited, reorganized everything. Everything's been reviewed multiple times. We've also simplified the overall categories from 2020, where we had 11 categories. We're now down to 7 for ease of navigation and reference. And those are welcome, terms and conditions of employment, compensation and benefits, operating, travel, meeting and training attendance, and then ethics. And then we've also expanded and revised the harassment policy, the holidays policy. We've revised and expanded the Family Medical Leave Act policy. So it is fully compliant now, whereas before it really wasn't. We've revised the electronic communications policy, which is important to keep on top of that. Our employment categories are better defined and clarified in this new version. Termination categories, termination of employment are better defined, expanded, and clarified. There's a entirely separate ethics section has been created. Classification of prior service credits for rehired employees is better defined, and clarification of paid leave payouts on termination depending on reasons is also better clarified. And this is just sort of a highlighted summary. But these are needed changes. The document has been reviewed and edited multiple times in the past year before we've been able to bring it to you. And so that's where we are.
Now, I don't recall seeing the work community policy. Is there, I don't recall seeing, did I miss it?
Well, we had issued a separate policy memo on that. Those are not necessarily codified in a manual like this because those change so often. But there is remote work. There's a remote work policy.
Mhm.
So yes, there is, but that is something that will change more often.
So, but should your personnel document include at least a statement that says that the latest directive, it could be found by you or, you know, someone in HR. I just think to not address it at all.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
missing something.
And it is in there somewhere, but it is something that we will certainly take a closer look at. But it is addressed, and we do have a separate policy memo on that, which, you know, is a.
Well, we can certainly
Just
make reference to that and just bring a small revision back to you, you know, at the later date, just to, even if it's just a reference to
Yes,
the external policy. Yes, we can
Exactly.
certainly do that.
exactly.
Sure,
Just to
sure.
make sure that
And yes, and, you know, this is a living document that is
absolutely.
constantly in flux. So,
Absolutely,
Yep.
I clearly understand that. And then my other question is, now that you've done the revision, has it been reviewed with staff, with the staff, and, you know, has the staff signed off on receiving it and reviewing it individually?
not yet, because it hasn't been approved by the board. But it is available to the staff to look at, which is actually sort of an unusual occurrence. We, you know, it's not something that you see in a lot of organizations. They'll roll out a new policy manual and whatever is in it applies. In this case, we actually did place it out there for staff to look at it ahead of time. Got a few comments, nothing overwhelming.
Thanks for doing all that work. I think it's so important that personnel are brought into the process and also that it's all consistent with your formatting, and that's a big challenge. Two things. One on the remote work policy. Could we see the memo that will be referenced? Could you possibly send that? And is that best done between meetings or at the next meeting? It's just an FYI. It's not something.
We'll send it out. We'll send it out right after this meeting today.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we can get feedback and see, we can theoretically, we could probably bring it back even at the next meeting if, for, you know, inclusion or reference.
Yeah, and that's something again that
Right.
we can place it on boardable too.
I agree with Cheryl, in the sense that, work from home policy needs to be, at least clearly defined, because you don't want the appearance of favoritism within the state of that nature, so, you know.
And we're definitely aware of that. And yes, that is addressed or will be addressed.
Okay.
So, but it is important to consider everything else that's in a document like this, and it's going to benefit the organization to have a new version out there. So,
What about the attorneys? What, they looked at it and reviewed it?
no.
You know, what's the possibility of getting that looked at and seeing if there's some legal ramification for
Um, that would be, we could certainly do that. That adds more time to the process, but we can certainly do that and I personally feel very good about where we are.
I'm not arguing, I just,
Yeah.
with the issues that we've had over the years.
Yeah, so we have an attorney that's with a name and how that is and has been consulted with, and so we could. I have to let them review it, and if there are substantive changes that need to be made, we can bring that back in an iteration. Otherwise, we wouldn't, but we certainly can get them to review
Yeah,
it.
I just throw that out there. It's not mandatory, but it's whatever the board decides.
Jimmy?
Yeah. No, no comment.
On our last meeting, we had a conversation about the clauses for, upon termination, how benefits are accrued to those individuals in the organization. I think I found the language on page 21 of my page.
I don't have the document right here, but
Well, from your memory, do you remember rewording it or changing it?
everything was clarified better than it had been. So hopefully it's easier to understand. But the actual policy impact doesn't change as far as what people get upon leaving, free time, et cetera. None of that changed, but the way that it's worded did change.
I think I understood it was.
Yeah, so why don't we bring out one up? See, why don't we just pull it up and we can just,
Yeah.
yeah, well, since it's of interest, we can certainly do that.
Do you want my computer?
No, that's
Yeah,
all
that'll look-
right.
It's onboardable.
Um,
Still,
Okay, where did you upload
It
it?
is page 21. If I'm reading the right.
We are.
That's always a question. I. Right page. So if I just all the things up on the page.
What's the name of the document?
It's called HATC
Oh, here we go.
Update page.
Let's see. And we said page 21.
I've got the validation, but the courtesy, we're already good.
Blow that section.
Well, we gotta find it first.
So they have them, It starts with a bullet point, an employee who is done, who is standing, whose position has been eliminated this time, who retires from.
Well, that is one. And it's also referenced in the section that references termination types. So if somebody resigns, they're treated one way. If they are terminated for performance.
So this one was.
Would it be in the section that this references in types of leave?
That's what I'm,
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
Really, it's best to look at, we can find it here. The termination types. Okay. If you look at, starting on page.
That's 14.
Page 14, resignation from employment. If you'll see, you can reference that section. It spells out what, how people are paid out for annual leave and sick leave, job abandonment there as well, performance-based termination, misconduct-related termination, retirement, medical separation. So each one of these, you will see spelled out how annual leave and sick leave and personal days are paid out or not paid out. So they're spelled out there. They weren't before.
And then the situation in the discussion that was brought to the board, it was the following the position of the.
Correct. Well,
Is it under one of those? Is it under one of those?
yeah, and that is actually, a reduction in force. It was actually what your original highlighting,
Yeah.
that's where it was addressed on the reduction of force. Yeah. So it's,
Doesn't directly address the issue that we've got.
well, it does. Um,
21.
Okay, so that is for annual leave. Or sick leave. So if you, and that, the issue that we were discussing relates to sick leave. And so if you go back up to page 20, an employee who resigns in good standing or whose position has been eliminated or retires will receive half of their balance of accrued but unused sick leave time to a maximum of 120 hours paid at time of separations for any of these reasons. That's where it's clarified.
So that's a change.
Yes.
It's clarification,
But
yes.
the number is.
Well, yeah, if you remember, it was not worded very well before, and this
but just the
clarifies,
number, it has been dropped.
right,
Thank you.
okay?
And then, a maximum of 120. Could you add that word?
It says.
It's to a maximum of 120 hours.
All right.
But I one of the points is just to make sure that the address when you list the categories of population,
Mhm.
perhaps there should be a category that specifically addresses.
Reduction in force. We can add that.
I
Certainly.
think it will cover everything, so you don't have any question.
Yeah,
Because that could be a reason for termination.
and one reason that it's not there is because that is something, depending on the situation, you may treat it differently depending on the situation.
And I think you can word it that.
Sure, we can include that, absolutely.
Just to make sure if we're covering all of them. That could take a lot of the.
Not a problem. We can add that in.
I'm looking at page 21. Annual leave vacation.
Mhm.
Employee resigns in good standing, whose position has been eliminated or retires, who is terminated for performance reasons. Their fine salary to a maximum of 240 hours. Is that
That's
correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue before was the sick leave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Not
intention
not
was
the
to get to
annual.
120, but it was,
Okay, got it.
we were saying one half of 240, which made it very unclear because
Just in terms of process, thank you for going through this exercise and helping us navigate and revise.
Yeah.
When something comes to the board and does come to our attention, it's just a vote or no, it's like going back, okay, what did you tweak and how does it look and always really helpful to it. I think we continue to think about, what's been brought to our attention. Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Any other comments? So I would like to make a motion though, that we approve the personnel policy manual with the edits that we have brought forward.
So moved.
I think you would need to entertain, you need to entertain a motion. As a chair, you need to not make a motion.
He said, Jimmy moved, and I said.
Okay.
All in favor? Okay, moving on to action item 5, this is the executive director reports.
Yes, we will start with voucher programs, and we have a few different items that we want to share. So I'm looking forward to hearing Christina speak.
All right, I'm gonna let Victoria. Pretty general.
So, hello, Victoria. I, for the next 30 days, will be meeting with our partners at ECHO, to strategize and discuss, our voucher utilization and, with NHPD as well as clinical care. And we are reviewing all HC reports with our staff to address discrepancies, in PIC. And then, we're preparing for our upcoming audit in June.
As well as that, we did receive notice that there was some availability of VASH funding, VASH vouchers, as we usually do every single year. We already reached out to the VA and they are not going to bring on more vouchers as we can do that again. So we are at that same level again. There's nothing that we can do on our end. They have to support it. They have to support it. And we've been petitioning to get more vouchers. So neither us nor HATC will be receiving any vouchers from the VA program. We are with preparing for our strategy for our voucher utilization. We're about to end our COC grant in June. And so we are looking for ways now to make sure that we're maximizing that funding, making sure we're spending all we can, so we don't give any money back. And that's what we are working on next week with some of our partners. As well as I wanted to also introduce Miss Olivia. She is our new social worker that's working in the COC program. I want to give her just a brief moment to give time to her to introduce herself generally, and then let you know what's coming on in the COC program and what she's been working on.
Olivia, would you mind as well going a little closer to the front?
So thanks for having me today. My name is Olivia Nichols. Like they said, I'm the case manager for the Upward program, working with our COC clients. A little bit of background about me. I just graduated with my master's in social work from Texas State University, and I'm working towards my licensure. So hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be a licensed social worker. I have experience, I've been in the social service field for about 8 years now. I've worked at the Arch for a few years, which is the Austin Resource Center for the Homeless, so I would meet with them as they first came into the shelter and kind of work towards the steps of getting that voucher, so it's really cool to be on that other end of that. And working with resources and helping them build that foundation so that they can have that housing, continue to have that housing. Some things that we have worked on with our clients here so far. Since I've been here, we've housed 2 different clients and we've helped them with moving expenses, which has been really helpful for them to get in and out. And then meeting with them, we've kind of noticed that they don't really have a lot of basic household needs or items such as like beds. There's a lot of our clients that are sleeping on floors still. So I've actually reached out to the community and I have a lady who's wanting to donate some mattresses. So we're working on a storage unit and getting that so that whenever a client does move in, we have those items accessible to them as well. We've also been able to help with emergency groceries and emergency transportation, such as bus passes, so that they're able to get to their appointments and all of that. One thing that Patrick mentioned a couple of weeks ago was having more of a focus on mental health, and I've kind of noticed that in our clients as well. They don't have as much access to a therapist, so I really want to start working on resources towards that, and I know our funding can cover that as well. And then I've also sent out some recent surveys to all of our COC clients assessing for needs. And I know that we're looking for a couple of board members for you guys as well. So that's kind of what I've been working on this past 30 days.
She hit the ground running.
Yeah.
We haven't even been here 30 days.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity. For sure.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah. Thank you.
On the funding for mental health, and maybe take some more information, what's the funding package that's driving all this?
So we have what's called a budget line item that's called support services, and in that support service budget line item, we're able to provide anything from residential treatment for drug addiction to counseling, all that consultation, those things we're able to provide to clients that need and want it.
And is it adequate?
Is it adequate?
Is the allocation adequate?
The funding, we have plenty of funding to cover.
Couple of questions. I still believe strongly that the foundation should be able to provide some resources too, and if we can collaborate with them to particularly in getting some inexpensive bedding or something of that nature to help those individuals, because it's nice to put them in something, but if you don't have any place to sleep or pots and pans or something of that nature, maybe the board or the foundation board could possibly consider that and look at, because we need to help the whole package, not just the individual, but all the resources that go along with it.
Absolutely.
And how do we go about addressing the emergency requests for food for groceries? How does that process work?
So I look at whether they receive SNAP benefits or not, and then a lot of the times it's really interesting. I think they cut back a lot on that. So a lot of our clients receive like $12 a month, which is not sustainable in any way. So, and then I will also connect them to food pantries that are nearby. So obviously that's the main goal, is to get them sustained on that resource. Sometimes they don't have the transportation of that, or there's a process to get into that food pantry. So we're able to provide that emergency food in the interim before they can get that resource more established.
Olivia's been provided some petty cash on hand to be able to have that emergency money funds to go. When she goes, does some home visits, she'll assess the situation, and she'll be able to actually take them grocery shopping.
And how much budget do we have?
The full budget is for that, this line item is 75,000. So yeah, there's plenty of money.
And currently you're on track for the spending for the year. It's adequate.
Yeah, we actually started this budget line item pretty late in the grant.
Okay.
It just came on in March and we were able to hire with this switch as well. So we're not gonna be able to obviously spend the full grant or that full budget line item this year, but for sure next year, as we go into with a brand new year start.
But toward that end, some of the things that we're thinking about is maybe purchasing maybe a vehicle specifically to transport both clients and maybe, like wares, to be honest, potentially. And to your point about the foundation, one of the things that we were exploring is, as Olivia's been talking about, like maybe the need for technology, cell phones, things of that nature that may or may not necessarily be covered under the grant.
Yeah.
That we were at some point going to come back to the board and ask about the potential of getting a fund set aside, a small amount set aside to cover these costs that aren't necessarily, aren't, the grant doesn't, qualify.
Right, yeah,
So,
technology and bedding and furniture is not covered by the support system.
so we're kind of assessing that over a period of time to figure out, what that might look like and may come back with an ask, for that purpose.
So one of the things that I want to suggest is in terms of grants. Make sure you spend every dime.
I'm trying. We're both looking at Subra.
Yeah. I just think that with grants, especially when people are paying you money to spend that.
We don't want to use that.
You don't want it to sit on the table and you don't want them to come back and say that you don't need that.
As a matter of fact, that the meeting that I'm gonna have next week is about this discussion that we're having, and one of the options on the table is redistribution of the funds that we're not using across the community, which is fine, the community needs it as well, but if we can retain it and use it, then I'd rather us take care of that.
And I also think about if you're spending the money and it's for a family and the family have children. Oftentimes when children get home, I don't know the situation, but it would be great if we can assess that and see if there's food purchases that we can make that children can prepare themselves. Understood, right? I mean, but I'm not gonna tell you how, but I'm just gonna suggest that if you have 75K in a grant, that come December 31st, it's a zero balance.
And that for us is June 30th. Yeah, that's why it was so late in the grant for us to start. But yeah, I hear you, yeah.
Yeah, because the need is there. I got all of the surveys back and there, a lot of things were just on such a time crunch and I'm one person, so we're trying to spend as much as possible and hopefully we can so that we are able to do that and provide all those.
Now, the other thought too, my mind is, we were talking about renting a storage space for mattresses.
I think we may have.
We
one.
found a solution.
Yeah.
There's a storage unit in one of the properties.
Yeah, one of the properties does have one.
That has nothing in there, so we found a solution for that.
But you have to be careful with that because of rodents and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And it needs to be well.
Air cooled.
Right, and what Olivia and I talked about was not getting so much, right, having just a few, and then that way we don't have a whole bunch stacked up for a long period of time that nobody's using. So yeah, we're starting to do that.
Well, you can do that, but my other thought is you can have a mattress. But what about the bed that goes on?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, think about how you can actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
Use that grant, because you can actually do quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, of really significant stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And also there's some outreach efforts. I'm reminded of Mattress Mac in Houston, who gives a lot of stuff away all the time. And I'm sure it's Austin now to a million of population and businesses are always complaining. That may be something that some of these large companies can do too. So reach out, outreach to those.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You didn't think you were gonna get that kind of thing.
No, I love it though.
I can only imagine as a social worker having too much money. This is like.
I know.
It's just like.
Yeah.
there's,
Any creative ideas?
Yes.
yeah, there's packages that we would like, we had to squeeze our resources to do a move-in package. It was pots and pans and soaps. And, you know, it was set up by Greenville's.
Oh, yeah,
initially.
even though-
They had the list and it's pricey, per unit.
Yeah.
You could go back and. Cause you can't have that many people between now and June 30th, but there's people we did house, that didn't get those things. And I wonder if that's allowable under the grant. But
I'm gonna
at
check
that
on
point, a juicy package,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to send you a tweet what I know about it. And it was so needed. There was just no way to sell a house without that.
Yeah.
You know, and then the storage thing comes into, view, and I know some other board members have already sympathized with the risks of this, but we would have donations and storage, and then it became like that was an issue for code and other things, and so then we had to get rid of our storage quickly, so getting it turned around does require vehicles. It requires vehicles, so.
We have a van. We have a van. Is that?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, there's reasons for what I mentioned, but yes, we do have a van that's available.
Great. That
We
is
also have a
awesome.
truck.
So it would be great to see in our next month's meeting what you do to consume the money 75.
I hope that, yeah, I have a whole list of things.
I would love to see that. So if you guys could bring that back,
Okay.
right? Because you have
For 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
75.
Volunteers out there. That purchase and deliver.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true.
If I may also, and I'm going back to the vouchers, and I want to suggest to the board. We have some new allies in Congress. And
Go for the batch.
yeah, about
It's
Right,
convincing the
that-
VA.
right, to Congressman, Favara, he's a strong advocate, and when I saw him in Washington, he was asking about Rosemont.
Greg Casar.
Yeah, and he's a strong advocate, so if we could write a letter to him and dog it as a board and
That's a great idea.
have a signature and ask him to.
Sure.
For the
work-
VA support.
Yeah, work on support of increasing the bass option, because it's just the same, we've been consistent there for the last
For years.
something years, and so we need those vouchers.
And the success story for us here is we're almost fully leased in our batch program, finally, after so many years of working with the VA. So I feel like it's getting there. It's getting there.
That's the.
I think that's a great idea. Patrick always makes me look really good, so.
Yeah, we'll get a letter.
Yeah, if you can put that on the entire board.
Yeah, we'll,
Signatures on it.
Yeah, we'll send one and let you all review it. Let me just think let me see if my colleagues have sent anything out and see how they've approached it.
He's head of the dash program.
Yeah, we probably don't want to, I'm thinking, but. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to.
no, yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so they know who to get to.
yeah, I think, yeah, we'll look
Yeah, that's
into
true.
the approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look into what the approach might need to be, but. We certainly don't want to, he's probably. Someone's giving him a directive, so I mean, I don't. Right, so yeah, I don't know that you want to necessarily implicate him per se, I think it's. Across the board, so we'll put something together.
You okay?
Any other questions for?
You got your work cut out for us.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
No other questions for Christina, then we will go to Carlos. Because you need to come. It should be on. Is it on?
Give me a shot into it.
Yeah. you can.
Morning, y'all.
Good morning.
All right, so for these next 30 days, I'll be focusing on a couple of items. We'll be focusing, one of them would be on TDHCA's final construction deficiencies, more specifically, is some of the mobility impaired units that were initially, or once the renovations were done, were not properly done. Just getting some permits out that we can get work started as well. This month, I'm also going to be focusing on recertifications for all properties, just to continue maintaining TDACAs and as well as HUD's recertifications up to date. I will also be working on REACT's inspection deficiencies, the one that we just had over at Eastern Oaks. We had a score of a 75. Which just means that they'll be coming out next year to do another inspection.
Yeah. That score was from last fall.
No, this is the score that
Oh,
just happened.
rescored.
Yeah,
When did that happen?
the 26th of last time.
Oh, thank you.
Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions, comments?
What was what drove that score to
There was a lot of those level 3s that he pointed out, the inspector did. I can actually send you a copy of that report if you'd like. That way you guys can have it and see it.
just kind of summarize how the level 3?
So those level 3s are just a little bit more of like, just an example of one of them. On the exterior of the building, some of the bricks were missing, so we had already filled them in, but they told us that it was improperly, that it needed to be with an actual brick rather than with some type of that type of stuff.
Right, yeah, if you could just share it,
Yeah, I'll send it over. Thank you.
thank you.
Of course.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. Real estate.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Welcome on.
Yeah, they haven't all come there, go. Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. Off Power, asset manager for the Housing Authority. Give you a quick update on our Eastern Oaks draw of $2 million. We're waiting receipt of the original file modification agreement from the county. We have to provide that to TDHCA before they will process the draw. Once we receive that, we will provide that to them. Both I and our consultant have been in touch with TDHCA, even as late as this week, to ask them to provide us with access to their system so we can make sure that we double checked all the information that's been preloaded into the draw system. And once again, so hopefully as soon as we get that document in, we can send it to them funds release. Update on Manortown. Site work is underway. We've got some trees knocked down. We've got blading going on site. Tomorrow they're supposed to start installing a fence around, a security fence around the property. So far they have not encountered anything underground in the blading, but we have not started through excavation at this point. We have a grand opening that is scheduled for the 17th. That we're looking for May 17th, that we're looking forward to. We'll be doing some additional prep for that. Staff met on site with event planners this week in order to get some details worked out with regard to setting up seating and a tent for the event. And
This is a groundbreaking.
this is a groundbreaking. No, I'm sorry if I misspoke.
Okay.
And we're gonna make sure that we've got some nice soft sand set up for the groundbreaking and some pretty gold shovels. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll have some food there and look forward to it. The We've already received our first draw, some pre-development and mobilization expenses from the contractor, and that draw has already been submitted for processing payment. As far as any of the details are concerned, I have checked with both lenders on the property, and the Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation has requested that their money go in first, so we will be honoring that request according to the loan documents. Their award is $250,000, so we'll get that spent in first, and then we'll start drawing down from the $3 million that we received from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs.
Have we decided on the name yet? We were talking about renaming it, not calling it name of town into.
Yes, ma'am. We haven't decided on anything. However, Manortown Phase 2 is just a working title that you have for development, so until they're at completion. Even our SHFC properties do the same kind of thing. Patrick and I haven't had any formal discussions about it. But it is essentially Manortown Apartments. It's just another building for the development. So that's one option, is that we can just keep the whole thing as Manortown Apartments. But Phase 2 is just a designation because of its infrastructure.
Understood. I just remember us having a discussion.
Yeah, I think we'll make it a, fun exercise for some stakeholders, including ourselves, so. Yeah, we'll make it fun. So maybe once there's some work underway, we'll probably go through some sort of exercise of figuring out how to name it, what to name it, and we even thought about maybe a couple of rooms, maybe named after a couple of the original board members, something like that. So yeah, we'll bring that back to you for sure.
And then one other request that I have is, so that we have a clear understanding of the draw and how the money is being distributed. In our next meeting, you just bring just an update to show us like the schedule of value, and then how the money is deducted from the schedule of value. So just so you all know.
Absolutely.
What's the expected completion date when we thought that?
July of 2024.
Pretty quick.
14 months. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll go to finance.
Good morning. So I've received a draft audit report for fiscal year 2022 from the auditors for both HATC and strategic. So I'm trying to finalize it and get it released possibly sometime this month. So that's one of the items that is kind of pending. And the other item is, of course, we are wrapping up the Rosemont closeout. We're also working on transitioning the affordable properties to the private management company. And that is, we met with them and they have a target date of July the 1st of taking over the management of the properties. So quite a few things need to happen before then, like loading all the information on their system and transitioning all the vendors to the property management company. So those are the things that we are working in finance for the next 30 days. Saying that, the financials are in the board packet. So the period ending March 31st, 2023. And I'll just brief by exception if there's any questions on the any programs or any properties, I can answer them.
Actually, this is more just a request for update,
Okay.
in terms of financial,
Okay,
capacity.
sure.
Last fall, what gave rise to the hiring of Carlton and also the conditional improvements that Carlos has been working so diligently on the manifesting at least as 475, which is good follow there. I know there were several other things that we needed to do to get into compliance, including a software update for our system, so we can build the vouchers and get them in the subsidies. Was there enough in the budget? Did we have to do, where are we at?
I can answer part of that. So essentially, yeah, there was some recommendations of things they wanted us to address. And sort of the ultimate decision was made to migrate to third-party property management. So obviously, we no longer have to replace the software because Carlton will be responsible for the vouchering. So these were things that they were suggesting as a result of where we are in that process. And then they ultimately decided that we would need to go to third-party property management. So some of those obviously wouldn't necessarily no longer be applicable because that responsibility is now being placed on the third-party property.
So there's no need for additional updates on our software for any of our vouchers.
No, because they will.
I thought I saw that noted in the signature.
So. No, well, Christie, we will still be using the same software we're using for HCV, because that wasn't problematic. What I was specifically talking about was a vouchering for the PBRA program in terms of the software. That their specific reference was for the vouchers.
And for the vouchers, is that upgrade possible for the existing programs and build accordingly? Is there?
Yeah, we're not having any issues with the vouchering with respect to HCV.
It's understanding the report where it said there was, the software was not adequate to get the subsidy. Was that mentioned in the reporting? All right, I'll have to pull it.
Yeah, the issue with the vouchering was specific to PBRA.
There was that, but then in today's attachment, there's mention of it. So I'll have to re-navigate the whole thing to find that language.
Yeah,
I won't be able to do that.
okay.
Okay, well, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
Okay.
Okay. So, in short, we had enough adequate finances to make the remedies. And the remedies are in action, and was a necessary,
Was the
was a reduction in force necessary?
reduction in force necessary?
So the reduction in force came about as a result specifically of the outsourcing of that function. And so there was no longer a need. The services were being replaced externally, so that then it only warranted there to not be a duplication of the services. So the property management and the property manager and the maintenance staff, they actually hired the maintenance staff as Carlton did.
Okay, that's.
So, yeah.
That's what I want.
So there was a good, I mean, the outcome ended up being
Yes.
very good. But so that's essentially kind of how that came about,
Alright.
yeah. Anything else for Super?
Nothing from me.
And lastly, human resources or organizational development.
Morning again, board. Priorities for the next 30 days. Implementation of the policy manual, which I am very pleased has been approved with some additional changes that we will make. I will also be working on, and we'll see in the next couple of weeks, the strategic plan progress report for Q1. And I'll put that on board when that's prepared. The training and organizational development activities for the rest of the year were, gosh, we're almost halfway through the year. You actually should have today gotten an invitation, I believe they went out today, for the HATC the community event. The next one is going to be on the 26th, and it deals with pediatric mental health specifically. Yeah, so these have been great, and they will continue to be, and so we're really looking forward to that. So please plan to be there if you can. That amongst other activities that we're planning, we actually in April had our employee assistance plan provider, Deer Oaks, come in and give a presentation on everything they do for the which is a wide range of things. So we did that as a lunch and learn on the 26th of April, a few weeks ago. Other things dealing with just various internal employee relations issues, general HR systems revision and implementation. Website upgrades is another thing that I would call your attention to. If you haven't had a chance to look at the website, it is really improving continuously, and we're really happy with how that's looking. And so that's the HR organizational development component. And if you want to go to the next one, I will brief you quickly on the foundation.
Before you go to that.
Yes.
When we talk about employee training, just to make sure that there is a training session.
Yes.
Keep that in mind, make sure that- because I know that there's been quite a few changes, right?
Yeah.
That everyone needs to do.
We will ensure that happens. And yes. Noted for sure. Any other comments?
The HR.
Can you say where did the appointments one day?
It was here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have the upcoming one?
Oh.
And
Yeah,
Alexander
Melissa-
Oaks.
Alexander
The
Oaks.
invite, we just finalized the poster yesterday. I'll be sending that out following today's meeting.
Yeah, we originally were gonna do it because of the partnering with the library and all of these. We were originally gonna do it at a branch library, but we were actually gonna do it at one of our properties. So. Alexander Oaks.
Lunch will be at 11:30, and then the actual presentation itself will start at noon. The presentation will be about 45 minutes with then a 15-minute period for questions afterwards. So about 11:30 to 1, but no promises on the exact times.
And with regard to the foundation, in no particular order, and actually I'll start with the third one. As you've heard me mention, at least in the previous meeting, if not the previous two meetings, we received 50 brand new unused Chromebooks from the Austin Public Library, which were obtained through an FCC grant. We have offered them for use to our voucher holders and to our the residents of our properties. And as of today, we have 50 computers to distribute. We've had 85 requests. We're starting with the needs-based requests. So these are in the process of going out the door right now. These are being distributed, and they will probably all be distributed by next week. We're also working with Austin Freenet to provide hotspots if somebody needs a hotspot to access the internet. So this is good news. This is a real impact that we're making with being able to provide some technology to folks in the community that we serve. The points about event planning for the rest of the year, implementation coordination. As I mentioned before, we are actually in negotiations with an organization called Big Austin, which you've heard their name before. They're actually providing the supportive services at Daffin Flats, as well as I believe some other developments that are happening in the city. They're kind of a big name here right now. And we're working with them to assist us in leveraging their size and their volume capabilities to basically administer on our behalf the supportive services that we currently deliver. It's gonna result, it's not going to be any more of a financial burden for us, much more of one. And we'll brief you on this once we're done talking to them and getting something in place. But if all goes well, we should be able to roll something out with them by July. And they will have an impact. This is what they do. They're going to be able to provide these services, generate stories, and they've got a staff of people that do this, and they do it for others.
I want to,
Yes, ma'am.
on Big Austin, have they ever before done a wraparound set of social services or just their pipelines to employment, which is what I know they're known for?
Well, they're doing the wraparound in Document Flats right now, so it's really the same kind of thing.
And we can wait for further.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we're gonna have them come in and do a presentation soon. They have been evolving in some of the way they're delivering services, so they're trying to working on creating a model that's different from their traditional sort of entrepreneurial approach, which you're probably familiar with. So because of the needs of the community, so yes, they've been evolving in their approach, and it seemed very timely, and that we could partner with an organization that had, had a lot of interest. So we will have them come in and sort of share a little bit.
but yeah, what they are able to do and influence is almost identical to what we intend to do and have done as far as the types of services we provide, everything from financial literacy to job search assistance to healthcare access, that sort of thing. So I'm very optimistic about it personally. But, so that's all I have for the foundation and HR and organizational development. Any comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All of the executive director reports, we're on to item 6 on your board reports.
To the quick one on HATC Foundation. I was able to go out to Alexander Oaks and meet with Eric and Steve and I spoke ahead of time and got the tour of the new community room that's available there for folks. And there's a sort of back to school focus right now in terms of materials that are available for learning for that. And writing materials and highlighters and papers and workbooks. They've also got computer access there, and they have plans for a summer lunch program that is a repeat of what we offered last year. We discussed a lot about how the balance between access to this room and the resources in it, including computers, and security, because there's currently no number pad or lock on the door. So the way that it's operating right now is one of the residents has a key, and when given enough lead time, will open the room, leave it open all day, and then close it at night. And so there's a balance going on here between how do you get access to the residents while still securing the room and the contents. When we don't have staff that can be at all these locations all the time, every day for our residents. So I don't think we exactly solved that part, but Eric is more than willing to make the rounds, which is very really good. That's what I was able to see. I know about the same with the computer this year, and so I just have one more question, Steve. Are those going to be handed to people in situ in their homes? If they're going to be, offer them to use as they fit, correct?
Correct.
It's great.
And with regard to your comment about the access to the rooms, a lot of that is, we're going to be coordinating that with Carlton when they take over the property as well. So stay tuned for more info on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only concern about food banks is that number to get out.
Exactly.
And
So
that's-
it's the
that's-
balancing, act.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep an open door access for our residents and keep things either,
You can do a randomly generated
Oh,
keypad number, yeah, that changes, we do it
okay.
over time, so you can, put up there every week, something like that.
That's more.
That's new tech.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments on the, committee reports? Not, is there any new or unfinished business?
Well, I did want to mention, we'll pull it up now, and Keith mentioned this already, but I wanted to show you all the flyer, that the groundbreaking plans are underway. So get ready, it'll be a world-class event. It'll be on the 17th. Actually, the staff will close the offices for a couple hours to allow staff an opportunity to celebrate. We haven't constructed a building since 2004, which was Maynard Town Phase 1. It's 2004, right? You know? So it's been some time, so we're excited about the opportunity. So I think we all got the invite already and made plans, but we have invited the officials for the city of Maynard, Commissioners Court, and the legislative delegation that covers that area. So looking forward to that. We will start promptly at 11 ideally. And so yes, we're working on plans for that.
And save the dates.
Just to confirm, everyone should have received a calendar invite. Have we not received those yet? I'm seeing confused looks. No, okay, I can do that after this meeting. That's super easy. It was a big, long list, so I wasn't sure. I thought I had included, but that's my error. So I'll go ahead and do that after this meeting. And it has the flyer on there, just so that you can reference it if you'd like.
Is there a reason for an executive session? Having not any, a need for that, I would like to. Put a motion to. All in favor? Thanks, all.
Thank you. I got it.